Hey everybody, how's it going? So I thought we'd do a quick Ideamaker tune-up. A couple of the settings to check and to tweak to improve the quality of your prints. So I've been doing lots and lots of test pieces and making tweaks to settings here and there and taking some inspiration from some other folks' profiles and even some other slicers and to really sort of tune in the profile for both my little Ender2 and my CR-10. So I thought we'd go over what some of those settings are, and then you can tweak them on your end, and hopefully you get some good quality prints out of it. Now again, right? So some of the things I'm going to show you, they're pretty specific to my setup. They may work well for you, they may not. So I would suggest sort of doing like a save as on some of your setups and your templates. So you're not jacking with your original setup in case something goes wrong. But anyway, so this is a this is a little test print that I do, and I'm gonna so I'll show you everything on my Ender2 because that's the one I've been playing with most recently. Most of the changes, obviously, other than like the build volume, you can make with your profile, and because all the hardware is basically the same between the Ender2 and the CR10 or S4 or S5, wherever you got. It's basically all the same stuff. So, so this is a little test print I do. It's small. I can only, someone can only do so many benchies, and this thing only takes like 30 minutes to print, if that. But you get flat surfaces, you get flat walls, round walls, some angles, and then some top flat surfaces here too. And it's a good test. It's bridges, all that good junk. So if you've looked at any of the Fusion videos on the channel, you could probably bust this out in Fusion in 10 minutes and send it to the printer and go from there. But it's anyway, good print. So let's start. Let's take a look here. So again, I'm going to show you on my Ender2. So you go to your printer type, whether it's CR10 or whatever you got. Hit your little cogwheel. Now, if you want to duplicate this and not mess with your original setup, just say duplicate. Name it, something new. Mark's stupid setup for CR10 or Ender or whatever you want to do, and then you can have it separate then from your primary setup that you work with. There's really not a lot of changes here. My Ender, I do a 0.4 nozzle. On my CR10, I actually usually print at like a 0.6 nozzle, so I have a separate machine set up for that one. I have a 0.4 CR10 and a 0.6 CR10 and even a 0.8 CR10. But my Ender, I pretty much leave it at 0.4. Put in your build volume. Obviously for CR10, this is going to be 300, 300, 400. And then your E-steps. So calibrate your E-steps. I'll put in a link to John's video over at the Hot End. He does a great little 6-minute video on how to calibrate your E-steps. It's super easy. And once you get your value, you just plug it in here. And then Ideamaker does the rest as far as overriding what your firmware is and plugging in your E-steps right there. X and Y compensation leave alone. Check the heated bed. And then 110, 310 are all fine. And that's pretty much all I touched from there. So E-steps, that's the important one I think on this one. In your filament type, so if you've got an existing one, I'd say duplicate it from here. So hit the cogwheel again. And if you pick a default like PLA or something like that, and then you want to add it, you can always rename it. But your diameter and your density and price, that's totally up to you if you want to put that in. But the flow rate, this is the one that I would suggest tweaking. So I think default is 100, and in general the prints come out, at least for me, prints were coming out pretty good. I would think that the layers were a little bit too pronounced on like a 0.2 layer height print, and so I did a lot of tweaking between like 94 and 100, and 96 was a good start. I get good results with 96% flow rate. So again, that's on mine. I would say start there and then tweak it up or down if you need to. All right. And then on whatever your basic template is, like if you're primarily print with PLA, hopefully, because most of this is going to apply to PLA, again, you can tweak it. Hit the edit button here. I print that little test piece with 20% infill and 3 shells. I think anything less than 3 shells, you start seeing some of the infill patterns sort of floating through your shells if you're only doing 1 or 2 shells. And I do a skirt. Let's go to advanced here, and on the layer tab, again, 0.2 layer height. And you can have different templates for different resolutions. In fact, that's usually pretty easy. so you don't have to remember to go back and change it every time you throw it. So if you want to do like a 0.12 and a 0.2 and a 0.28 or a 0.3 layer height or whatever you want to do, then you can just change it and do a save as and rename it as like a fine, a medium, and a fast type of thing. My first layer height is 0.25. I print my first layer slow at 20 millimeters a second, and I up my first layer flow rate to 110%. I set my start points for my retractions in a fixed location because I like one Z seam going up the back. You can randomize this if you want. For my Ender and even my CR-10, I put it sort of in the middle of my X and the back of my Y, so the seam is in the back, and then I just orient my part on the bed so that seam is least noticeable. So sometimes I'll do it like on a corner. If it's a square, then maybe I'll change this to 0 and 150, so it's on a back corner or something like that. My default printing speed is about 50. Some people, this is too slow. If you're doing like a PETG profile, you definitely want to slow this down to something more like 40. The real important stuff here, though, is the outer shell speed. If your outer shell is your primary visual surface, you want that printing slowly. In my opinion, the slower the print, the more likely that your nozzle is primed because it's printing inside out. And so if you got a slow outer layer, you're going to have a much better shot at getting a nice smooth outer layer. And I leave the X and Y axis movements at defaults at 120 and 25. And these are all just used here as needed based on what you're printing. On the extruder, this is the one too that I did a lot of tweaking with. So extrusion width, I set it to 0.45. So my nozzle width is 0.4, and you set your extrusion width to 0.45. That's helped combat some of the any under extrusion I was getting to, because not all nozzles are created equal, not all PLA is created equal, or filament in general. I noticed something when I was playing with S3D, that when you're setting up your templates in S3D, and you set your nozzle diameter and your extrusion width, there's a setting for automatic or manual related to extrusion width. And if you leave it at automatic, S3D ups it to 0.48. And so I kind of thought that was interesting and tweaked with that a little bit in Ideamaker, and found that 0.4 was a little bit too much, but knocking it down to 0.45, I was getting really good results. So again, this is, I think, a good starting point for you, and you can tweak as needed. This is my retraction settings that do enable retraction. So 80 speed, 5 material as far as distance. My rant on this is I really don't think you need more than 6 millimeters of retraction. I pretty much do everything at like 4 or 5. Your whole nozzle tip to threads is probably only 8 to 10 millimeters in total length. So and I did it early on too when I was first printing, but I thought that the more retraction distance, the less likely you were to have zits and blobs, and it's not true. The material in the nozzle is already melted, so if you have some crazy big retraction like 10 millimeters or 12, you're not really pulling material out of the nozzle because it's already melted and sitting there. Gravity's already done the work for you. You're relieving pressure. So you really don't need something crazy. All you got to do is relieve pressure and make sure you have a good travel speed and that your print temps are solid. So my rant is 5. Leave it at 5, and just go up or down from there. But really, from a retraction standpoint, if you're getting oozing or you're getting strings, then play with your print temps. If you're printing at 210 and it's too hot, then drop it to 205 or 200, and make sure your travel moves are fast, like around 120. So anyway. Minimum travel retraction 3 millimeters, 0.02 minimal amount, extra restart at a negative 0.1. This helps with zits and blobs. So it's using some of the ooze that's in the nozzle to start the next layer. So you get a really nice tight Z seam on this. It's kind of nice. Restart speed 20, and a Z hop I do it at 0.4. Infill tab. Again, we talked about this, so 20. My infill speed I pretty much do around 30, 40. My infill overlap, I do this between like 15 and 25. I really don't go over 25%, because then I think you get some rough outer shells as things start to overlap a little bit too much. So 15 seems really good for that. And I leave the flow rate at 100. My bottom saw layers, I typically do 3, and my tops I usually do between 3 and 5. and I slow it down. I think I really think these settings, bottom solid fill speed, top solid, you can tweak them. I think they're redundant based on the layer stuff over here, at least for the first layer. But on the top, you can tweak your top solid fill speed and your top solid fill flow rate. I usually go up to about 110%, and I print it pretty slow. Same as my outer layers. And I do a line pattern typically versus a rectilinear, and really kind of more based on what you're printing. But I feel like I get a better, a higher quality surface if I'm using lines on the top layers. Support, I don't mess with the defaults too much. I really like the supports in Ideamaker right out of the gate. I don't even mess with them. The only thing I might do is add a solid base, like a raft, to supports if it's really small. Then there I might do like 1 or 2 base layers for the supports, just so it has something to stick to. Other than that, I leave it alone. And then platform additions, I do, and this one I do a skirt, but if you want to tweak brim, raft, whatever, this is your skirt and your brim settings over here. So I typically do 2 or 3 loops, just so you can eyeball level it, and I do it about 6 to 8 millimeters away from the part. Cooling. So S3D is really good about knowing when to slow down the print head if you have, small features. So I've done and have seen plenty of benchies where that top smokestack on the top of benchy is all, you know, nasty and under extruded and spongy and just crap. And that's because, like, Kira just prints at lightning speed wherever you tell it to. S3D is good at slowing it down, and this setting is where you would slow it down in Ideamaker. So if you want your minimum print layer time, if you've got a small feature, you'd really want to knock this down to something like 15 or 20 seconds per layer. So when you get to that little tiny smokestack that's smaller than a pencil eraser, here I got this little hand here. So that's about like the smokestack on benchy, and I printed this on the little Ender2, which is pretty good. But it will print each one of these layers, at 15 to 20 seconds, and give it time to actually lay down and cool before retraction goes to the next layer. So that's how you do that. And I do for your CR-10, like, the default fan is 100, and I really fan speed stuff is really your preference. On the Ender, it doesn't matter because you don't have a part cooling fan, so it kind of doesn't matter. Default temperature, I do a 60 bed, and I default to a 210 temperature for PLA, and I'll go up or down based on what I'm printing. Some of my PLAs like it around 200, 205. My inland stuff seems to print best around 210. My Zyotech seems to print best around 200, but every roll is different, right? So, but these are my defaults. And if you want to vary your temps, this is where you'd use your temperature control list and your primary extruder tab, and then based on a certain number of layers, then you can vary the temp. So like I'm doing a lot of wood filament printing right now, and so every, say, 5 to 7 or 10 or 15 layers, you can change the temperature up or down, and it'll vary the appearance of those lines, a little darker, a little lighter, so you get sort of mimic sort of a wood grain effect, which is kind of cool. So that's where you do that. Ooze, I don't mess with too much here. So force retraction on layer change, yes. And I don't care about avoiding retraction inside models. I just let it retract. If you have this checked, it won't retract. It'll just move through the model. And if it's just a bunch of infill, then who cares? To me, anyway, that's my opinion. I don't care if my infill looks messy, as long as it's nice and formed and it's doing its job, adding strength to the part, without printing it dead solid. But I don't care if the infill's all stringy, as long as the outside of my model looks perfect. So other tab, merge open segments and merge internal overlapping parts. So if you have 2 models that you're putting together, like if you're going to drop that on the bed and then drop that inside of it and make that all one part, then Ideamaker will basically recognize that you now want to print this as one part, and it'll merge all the intersecting joints inside, where all the intersecting spots where these two things meet, and print it as one part. Versus, like, I know in Kira I've done the same thing, and it does weird thing. It prints it fine, but it's odd, only from the perspective of I think it's inefficient. I think Ideamaker, with that merge internal overlapping parts, makes the printing of 2 models that you merge together much more efficient, and you're not wasting a bunch of time in Filament. Check thin walls. So if you've got really thin walls in your model, like maybe just a hair thinner or right at your nozzle width. Some slicers don't like it. So if you have that checked, this will guarantee at least one wall thickness, and you can specify what that thickness is. And fill small gaps and shelves. So if you've got a weird gap and you want it filled up, check that. It'll do its best. It's not 100%, but it will do its best to fill that gap with some sort of filament, even if it's just one layer line of extrusion or one width of extrusion. And then I do avoid travel through holes. So if I've got a defined hole as a feature in the part, I'd rather the head not zoom past it and potentially leave some stringing in there that I have to go clean up. So with this checked, it will avoid that hole. I'm still hoping for that feature where we get to avoid traveling across perimeters, the equivalent of like combing or no combing skin, stuff like that that are nice to have in Cura. So we don't quite have that yet. That's one of my pet peeves. Better than that, I think I get good results. So those, I think, are the items that you want to check and tweak specifically. And I don't mess with the G code. I don't have really any starting or ending G code. If I want to do a funny little message, then I'll change that to something that shows up on the control box. If you want to, blah 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 blah, then that'll show up on the bottom of the control box while it's printing. So again, why don't we just quick recap. So again, E-steps. Go calibrate E-steps. Again, I'll put a link in your filament template. Flow rate 96. Start there. Tweak if you need to. And then in your template under advanced, go through all the things we talked about, your speeds, but I think the important one that I think will have a pretty good impact is this extrusion width. Start at 0.45 if you're using a 0.4 nozzle, and then tweak from there if you need to. So anyway, that's that. So I hope it works for you. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe, please. I'm trying to do at least maybe 1 or 2 videos a week, and YouTube's new law is you gotta have a billion subscribers to get anything done. I'm trying to do at least 1 or 2 videos a week, and keep them around slicers and fusion, and I'll leave comments on too. So if you all have questions, want any additional tips, stuff like that, then we can do it through YouTube comments. So thanks again. See y'all.